Ein Yaakov, and we are on in Brachot 56b2. So it says, Amar of Chanina, Haroeh be'ir b'chalom, one who sees a well in a dream, Roeh shalom, beholds peace for himself. How do we know? Shneimar, it says in the verse, Vayechperu avdei Yitzchak benachal, the servants of Isaac dug in the valley, v'imtzu sham be'ir mayim chayim, and they found there a well of flowing water. So that's the verse. Rabbi Natan Omer, Matzah Torah, and a person says, let's say he found Torah for himself, he will achieve greatness in Torah scholarship. As you know, Shneimar says, Ki motz eich mayim chayim, Ki motze matzah chayim, for one who finds me finds life. Uchtiv hach, and it's also written there with reference to a well. It is be'er mayim chayim, a well flowing, literally living with living water. So this establishes, Ash was explaining, or Rashi is going with this. This establishes an association between the Torah and the symbol of a well. And finally, the third interpretation is Rav Amar Chaim Amash. The vision of a well, the dream symbolizes actual life. So you have a three-way looking at it. Either I'm going to have peace. It could be all three, by the way. But it's either finding peace or seeing himself creating Torah scholarship or having a nice long life. And the Art Scroll says on this, although the that's not what I wanted. So Maharshal elaborates the connection between the made by the Gemara as follows. Although the Torah is only one of the several entities likened by Scripture to the water, it is only the Torah that is also scripturally associated with the concept of life that we find in the verse cited here. Thus, one who dreams about a well, a source of living water, is deemed to have found Torah. Okay.
56b.
56b, yeah. You have it?
I have some of 56b.
Okay. I tell you that book, I was never a fan of that.
Yeah.
Okay. And just for the third one, Rava said that it's actual life. So Rava does not employ here the previously mentioned link between Torah and life. Hence, he sees the phrase "a well of living water" as establishing a connection between actual physical life and a well. Okay. So Amar Rav Yochanan, Shlosh Shlomodhein. There are three dream visions that foretell peace. They are Nahar Tzipor, Ukeder, a river, a bird, and a kettle. Sounds like a what's it called? There's some sort of fairy tale with that. A nursery rhyme, right?
Yeah.
How do we know what's going on in Nahar? A river is going for peace, tichtiv, as is written in Isaiah, Hineni notele benahar shalom, behold, I'll extend peace to her, namely Jerusalem, like a river. Tzipor, the vision of a bird, has a similar meaning, as it says, tichtiv, kitziparam afotkein, yagen Hashem tzvakot. Like flying birds, so will Hashem, Master of legions, protect Yerushalayim. Kedera, a kettle likewise portends peace. Tichtiv, it's written Hashem tishpot shalom, that Hashem set peace for us. So if you see any one of those three things in the dream, you're all set. Okay, and he says the verb in the word tishpot literally means to settle a kettle on fire. Thus, a connection is established between kettle and peace. Some suggest the following conceptual link between peace and a kettle. Water placed inside a pot is heated by fire under it. And were not for the wall of the pot separating these two elements, each would annihilate the other. Thus, the kettle mediates, as it were, between the extremes of fire and water, establishing a sort of peace between them.
That's interesting.
There you go. Yeah.
If a kettle was on fire, would it be the destruction of peace? The lack of
Say it again, please.
If you saw a kettle on fire, wouldn't that be a lack of peace? Or a kettle on fire, does that mean a kettle that's being set on like a burner or something?
You're putting the kettle on the fire. All right? I'm putting a kettle on fire. So I have, what am I have something in the kettle, right?
Oh, I thought you just a kettle is on fire, like that, like a burning kettle. I thought I was saying like that.
Where did you hear that?
You said.
I said water placed inside a pot is heated by the fire beneath it.
What was the Gemara? So is the Gemara telling that we should assume that they're talking about with water in it? Is that what they're...
Well, yeah, water.
There's no reason to put a pot on the fire if there's nothing in the pot.
Well, yeah, right, correct.
That's what he's giving us a little note.
Right, so he says to set a kettle on a fire.
Oh, I thought I said on fire.
On a fire. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. But the point is that the kettle is protecting. In other words, whatever the liquid is, if I have, the truth is now I have a gas stove, so it works out for that. When I used to have an electric stove, then it wouldn't do anything. It was just
the electric is like a fire. I mean, if it's getting hot, it's hot as heat.
No, but it wouldn't quench it.
Sure, you put the water on a hot burner.
No, I'm saying, but if the water goes over...
Oh, to quench the...
It wouldn't quench...
The source of the heat, yeah.
It wouldn't quench that, it would just bubble up. Okay. But now that I have gas, so you see that, I mean, it's, it'll quench it.
It boils over,
it quenches it.
So that makes sense. I just
oh, you saw a kettle on fire.
A kettle on fire, not a kettle on fire.
All right.
Misunderstood.
Okay, no problem. So, Amaro Chanina. That's what we're here for. Stop all the misunderstandings. Amaro Chanina. Ubakadera she'em babasa sheninu. But we taught that this kettle symbolizes peace only with respect to kettle that has no meat inside of it. Has to have, okay, so why? Ufarsu kashir basir basar betoch kalachat. For concerning a kettle that does have meat inside of it, it's written, and you have sliced them like that which is in the pot, and like meat in the cauldron. This comes from Micha, and in this verse, the prophet speaks metaphorically of the aristocracy of Israel, chastising them for brutally oppressing the masses. The verse uses the particular imagery of meat in a pot to describe ravages dealt to the poor. Hence, meat in the kettle is deemed an inauspicious symbol. So you would have thought, by the way, I would have thought that meat in the kettle is good. Why? Because meat represents richness. Mm-hmm. Vegetables would not represent riches, right? Vegetables would represent the poor guy's fear. But if I'm cooking meat in a kettle, that means I have money to spare. So you would have thought that's good. And they're saying, no, it's just the opposite. It's bad because, well, it goes with what I'm saying. We're pressing the masses. Because I'm rich, I'm not caring about you, so I'm no better than Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette, that's her name? Marie Antoinette, who said, let him eat cake. Yeah. Which, of course, is, they don't have bread, let him eat cake, which is a real stupid thing to say. But okay, nonetheless, she was so removed from her people that she didn't understand they don't have flour. That's mean. They don't have anything, and you're saying let them eat cake. Okay, but that would be like the people who are so rich, and they're not dealing with. And by the way, I not to even get involved 5 seconds into this, but that's what this whole election was about. They're both. I love when the politicians who are both rich in their own right, and they store owners in their own right. In other words, they didn't come from poor. I was working on a factory level thing. I came to my riches, but they're all trying to talk to the poor people out there and say, "We know what you feel like." No, you don't. You never in your day had to do anything that the poor person did. So give me a break. You don't know what they felt like. You never will know what they felt like, and you're so far removed that you think that your plans are going to help. And that's what he's saying. That's what this Gemara is saying here. If you see a cauldron with meat in there, it means basically that you're the aristocracy, and you look down at other people, and you don't realize what you're doing. You're very cruel at that point. Yeah.
Actually, that's a mistranslation of Marie Antoinette.
Oh, what I was saying?
It's let them eat brioche.
Oh.
And it's the difference between, the farmer bread, which is just rough wheat that's ground, and you just eat it because you want to stay alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the highly refined flour that they made these brioche rolls out of, that's what the rich ate at their plate. They didn't eat bread that you tore off like a peasant.
Oh, so the brioche was bread, really?
It wasn't cake. It was
That's a mistranslation, you say.
laissez manger les brioches. If they don't have any bread, why don't they just eat brioche? Well, they don't have any money either.
All right. So it was really the poor. It was the animal, the food we give to animals, basically.
Yeah, but it's very similar to this. The poor person
Right.
just collects whatever vegetables they can get and makes a soup and a broth.
Yeah.
The rich person.
Well, again, we're looking at dreams. So when you get into a dream, you're dreaming with meat, with a pot and the meat, and they're saying that's bad. Don't dream like that. That's a bad dream. If you have it, it's a bad dream, because you're showing that you're not dealing with people correctly.
Wow.
So, like I said, you would have thought it'd be a good dream, but it's really a bad dream.
Huh.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's a very interesting image. The water and the fire.
Yeah.
But if the kettle wasn't between them, they would
Destroy each
the
other.
water would quench the fire.
Correct.
And it would end up doing nothing.
So that's a sign of peace with the if it's got water in it. In other words, you say.
Well, yeah.
But you
Yeah.
take the elements that are opposed to each other and you bring them into harmony. You stand
Right.
between.
Well, that's the famous. I've said it many times, but that's the famous drasha that you would give to a groom and a bride under the chuppah, under the wedding canopy. You say the famous rabbinical speech is the way you spell the word man, ish, is with a yud, right? And isha with a hey. The yud and the hey are the uncommon letters. So as long as you have God ka in your life, then you will be good. Otherwise, you only have fire left.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the same sort of concept, that what brings peace between the two elements is that middle element. So when you see, if you had a dream of a kettle on a fire, the assumption is something's in there, something's cooking. So then it's showing you'll have peace, because that's what this kettle is symbolic of, because it's making peace between the two elements that would normally quench themselves, would destroy themselves.
Is the word bina, is that
Bina's understanding.
understanding? Because if you break that down into this one just
Shoresh.
into the shoresh, but if you go into the pictographs, it's within the house. The division of the house is like the same division as the temple, that you have to have harmony between the male part and the female, and between the Holy of Holies and the congregation.
Okay. Very nice.
That you have that wisdom is harmonizing things, bringing them together, and
Oh, good. Okay, I like that.
cooperation.
I like that. Okay. So now we have a whole bunch of more dreams. It says the Gemara now relates a number of dream visions that have dual scriptural associations, one favorable and one unfavorable, in line with the principle that the realization of the dream follows the mouth. The Gemara suggests that should one of these items, should one see one of these items in a dream, he ought to recite to himself the favorable verse, so as to impute the dream to the auspicious meaning. Okay, so you ready to learn what to say when you dream? Let's go. So the Gemara begins again with the visions of the river, bird, and kettle. So Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said, Haro en nahaba chalom, if one sees a river in his dream, Yashkim vayomar, he should get up and he should say, Hineni noteleh kinahar shalom. Behold, the verse is coming from Isaiah. Behold, I will extend peace to her, to Yerushalayim, like a river. Kodem sheikadmenu pesukachem. Before another verse comes to his mind first, namely ki yavo b'nahar tsar, for travail comes like a river. So you don't want to do that. That's what he says. Rav Yeshua ben Levi indeed concurs with the previous Tanaim and Amoraim who construe the dream vision of a river to be generally favorable sign. Nevertheless, Rav Yeshua ben Levi contends that if one associates the vision with a verse of negative premonition, he might thereby impute to the dream disfavorable portent. So thus, the person seeing a river in his dream ought to recite to himself the favorable verse associated with his vision. The Maharshal also suggests that the Gemara's concern that a disfavorable verse may come to his mind is based on the Gemara's early contention that when a verse inexplicably comes to one's mind immediately upon waking, that is deemed a veiled portent of future tidings. For me, it would be a real attempt saying, I did my laning well. Let's face it, how many people are thinking, and this shows you the level of the connection to the Torah that these people had. They woke up with psukim on their minds. Again, how many people wake up with that in their minds? I don't think so.
Because these are people that are they're studying all day long and all night.
No, actually, they're not.
No?
No. The rabbis of the Talmudic times were workers.
Oh.
They were store owners. They were, blacksmiths. They were, some of them were owners of clothes. Some of them were aristocracy.
They're telling us about those who daven 3 hours 3 times a day. So who are they talking about? They're talking about the people who wrote the Mishnayos?
No, they were talking about
before that even.
Yeah, they said those were the Hasidim Rishonim. Let's understand something. We're talking about emunah b'tachon every night. Okay, truth, having faith in Hashem and trust in Hashem. What does that mean practically? In practical terms, if I really have emunah and bitachon in Hashem, and I understand everything is coming from Hashem, then I can literally sit in the base madrash and learn all day, because Hashem will give me what I need I need to live, and I should be happy. So in other words, these guys who live in Yerushalayim, I'll pick on them, and they're living in squalor. You and I look and say, that's the reward of a Talmud Chacham, of a guy who's learning the whole day. He has nothing. And you go into him and say, how you could live like this? He says, what are you talking about? I have everything I need. I'm happy. Asher, who's a rich person, I was happy with this portion. Hashem gave me so much. What are you talking about? What am I missing? And all you see is a little bed, and he's skinny. He's not fat. By the way, if you go into an interesting thing, which I pointed out to those who were learning, you all hear it actually, in Shoftim, when it's talking about Eglon, the king of Moab, I think it was to say, Bari, he was very Bari Ma'od. He was very healthy. And how the rabbis interpret that? Fat.
Yeah.
He was very fat.
Yeah.
But they interpret that as healthy. Okay, let's understand. Bari means healthy. The rabbi's telling us it means fat. Fine, so the guy was a fat slob. Okay, but he had money. This other poor guy was learning Torah all day. He's not so rich. In our standard of rich. But he's happy. Because he trusts that this is what I need. This is exactly what Hashem is giving me what I need. So that person can sit the whole day. And he can get what he's going to get. He doesn't worry about it. Period. There's a lot of stories. There's one great story I read recently. That there was a guy who he went, I think the Al-Shich's class or something. And so he heard the class that said, he was a poor guy, a peddler, and he heard that Hashem, if you just trust in Hashem, the money will come. Good. So he told he said, that's it, he's not going on the road anymore. He said, I'm going to say Tehillim the whole day. And he sat by his stove. He couldn't learn. Didn't have the brains to learn like that. He didn't have the learning. So he sat the whole day and he's saying Tehillim, the Psalms. And his wife is saying, what are you doing? He said, I'm not going to. The Al-Sheikh said that all I have to do is trust in Hashem, and I trust in Hashem. You should trust in Hashem. Everything will come fine. So, like all good stories, the food starts to dwindle, and she's saying, you have to go to work. I'm not. I'm saying Tehillim. He's saying Tehillim. And so she starts selling things off. She sells the donkey. She has to sell her donkey off. She sells the donkey off to the non-Jew. The non-Jew so he used to travel around, fine, and he was going through the woods and he found a whole bunch of gold that somebody left. He found it there, and then what happened? He was so happy. He drank a little or whatever, and he fell off the wagon. He dies. The donkey doesn't know what to do. I have no master. Donkey goes home. So what happens is she gets the donkey comes he's saying to him, the donkey comes with the gold, and the wife gets it and says, keep saying to him, keep saying to him. Go. Say to him all you want. Say to him more. She's rich again. And now she's rich and she has it. So the students ask a question. They say to the elder, wait a second, wait a minute. We're learning the whole day. We have Armur, we have Betachon. And I forgot. Okay. I forgot one part of the story. And we're not getting it. She said, yeah, let me add something. When that donkey brayed, the guy didn't get up. He kept saying Tehillim. You would have jumped up. That's why Hashem doesn't get to. He was sure that Hashem would take care of him. You're not sure. You would get up. Where is the money? That's the difference between you and him. Okay? And really that's what it comes down to. So if I have total bitachon in Hashem, and I'm sure Hashem's going to take care, whatever, it's good for me. And I'm willing to take it. And again, not look at what you have, not look at what he has. Be happy with what I have. Okay, so Hashem will take care of me. I have no problem with saying that. The problem is that we don't feel like that. You're driving a new car. He's driving he has 3 cars, a blue one, a red one, whatever you want to come. The other guy has 20 cars. Okay. So people look and say, oh, that's a nice car. Why can't I drive a car like that? How many times, when I was driving my beautiful Dodge, with the rust, and you had to make sure that your feet won't go to the floorboard. Okay, when I was driving that, and I would see other people with my car, my year, and I would say, their car looks so beautiful. Why couldn't my car look like theirs? What did I do? That's jealousy. Let's understand that. That's jealousy. That's forbidden according to Torah. It's a lack of bitachon in Hashem. I'll say it by myself. It's a total lack. Because I should be saying, whatever this is, what do I care what they have? Let them enjoy it. They took care of the car better than I did. Shkoyach to them. Whatever the case is. I didn't take care of my car. I was in the main. I was here, whatever. So and I didn't wash it every 3 days to get all the salt off. So I'm saying because I should rely upon a miracle that my car's going to last. They obviously put it into their garage. They took care of it. So I should be jealous of them. Yeah, but we all are, and that's what I'm saying. So when it comes to, working, we have to do our shadows. We do what we can, and we think that we're going to do that. But again, Hashem knows what we're really thinking. Let's not forget that. But these, like I said, here, so they weren't learning the whole day. What they did was when they learned something. Moshe Katz actually tells a story about his grandfather. His grandfather was a peddler, and so on. He would always have a book in front of him. He describes it. It would be like this. If he sees it, I'll please show it. Always like this, a small book, and he would just reading it. Never really turned the page, but okay, reading it. And so when he saw Moshe's brother, he came from Russia to here. When he saw Moshe's brother was a rav, going to yeshiva, whatever it was, so he was so happy. And he said, no. So say the Gemara out loud. And the guy said one word wrong. He corrected him. And they're looking, how does he know all this? So Moshe says, because what was happening was when he was on the road, He had nothing else to do but to repeat over what he had learned. So he repeated. He knew the whole thing by heart. That's how Moshe understands it. But it's really what it was. If I'm on the road and I have nothing to do but I have a radio. Remember something. We have a radio. We have all these things that we listen to in our car. Take all that away. No distractions. And you're on the road, and you're not traveling 60 miles an hour. You're with the horse. You're talking to the horse. So what do? You teach you talk Mishnayos. You talk Gemara. You talk Torah. So you're going over and over and over into these things. It's a whole different world than what we have. So that's why they could wake up with those psukim on their... it wasn't that they were learning the whole day. By the way, again, I said this, I'll say it again, I said before, I'll say it again. The reason that the rabbis were so ingenious in this time period is because they worked. Because they were involved in the world. That's why they understood. That's why they're chazal. That's why they're the chacham zichron levracha. We don't say that about today. These people were so involved in what was going on in the world that when they saw the psukim, when they did it, they were involved in both parts. They were true Torah Mada. They really held the whole Torah together. And it was a whole different outlook than what we have today. We are in our ivory towers. We do what we want, and that's why we come up with all our stupidities and all our chumras and all our everything that we're coming up with.
Do we have anybody like this left today? I mean, because you have the rabbeim in the schools, and that's all they're not out in the world.
I once heard, I hear you say.
Shul Rab would be the closest.
Correct.
To that, I guess.
So I once heard there was with that very various analysis that the Shul Rebbeim are angry at the yeshiva Rebbeim, the rabbis. Rebbeim is future. Plural. Are angry because of what has happened. That the children, because they're with the Rebbeim, take the Rebbeim as the Rebbe, and not the the guy who's living on the ground. And we look at them and say, "You're a bunch of what? Are you crazy? We're on the ground. We know what's going on. We understand you guys. They're in the ivory tower, but hey, do what you want."
This is like the university today.
Correct. And that's so. But the rabbi on the ground also, while we're on the ground, we don't have the expensive knowledge that they have in the yeshiva. Let's be honest. I'm not studying like they are. They're studying 8 hours, 10 hours a day. And so they are the doctorates of the world. I'm the, what do you call it? The BA guy. I went to college.
The general practitioner.
I'm the general practitioner, but they're the experts in the fields. So I'm not going to throw them out. They're like Rav Schechter. Rav Schechter lives in this world. Rav Willig lives in this world. The YU rabbis I know that live in this world. Rav Belsky lived in this world. He wasn't YU. Other people live in this world, and they're adjudicating in that manner. Rav Gedalia Schwartz lives in this world. Let him live to 120 in good health. But they were the ones who you would look at because they never stopped learning. They kept going in and going in and going in. And at the same time, they were also, that was the old style. They were also in the shul. They were doing what they had to do. Yeah. They put up with the mishagoyim that everybody has to put up with too. The mishagoyim are the crazy nuts and what we call corrigans. Okay, but they were the ones really who were doing it. Do we have anybody like that today? Up and coming? I don't know. I sure. By the way, I'm not even being humble. I would never put myself in that category. I'm not there. I know where I'm not. And I don't think most rabbis are there. No, most pulpit. I don't think we're there. I think that we have a lot to work on. And again, I'm hitting my own myself as well as my colleagues. And it would be interesting to know if we could ever bridge that gap again. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll have to stop here. Yeah, you had a question?
I was saying that reminds me, like the yeshiva rabbis and the rabbis in the shul. It reminds me, it's a bit of a bad analogy, but like the old time medical practitioners, where you'd have the people who learn the theoretical stuff about how the body works and why the blood clots up and why we need leeches and stuff, and then you had the people, the barber surgeons, who'd actually take the saw and start cutting people's arms off and putting on pegs and stuff. So you have they were both doctors, but one's actually doing it, but they're not as theoretically learned. And then the ones that are esteemed with all the PhDs and stuff don't get their hands dirty. They
correct. Right, and that's what you have to somehow bridge that gap. And some, like I said, some of the rabbis of YU, I think, have bridged the gap. Some of the Haredi rabbis have bridged the gap. I don't want to say they haven't. You have many who can talk both sides.
How are the YU rabbis bridging the gap? How do they do that? I mean,
because
they're teaching, but how do they stay involved with what the world around them?
Because what they're doing is, remember, YU is built on Torah Madda, Torah and science. We see them as partners. So I have to learn how to plant. I have to know the actual stuff of planting, of animal husbandry, and so on and so forth, to be able to rule on Jewish law. I can't just theoretically say something, it doesn't mean anything. If I don't know what this means, but I'm going to tell you, according to this, I understand that way. No, it's not good. I have to really be on the ground. So they were, again, if I'm a shochet, if I'm the ritual slaughter, I understand what the animal looks like. So now when you tell me all these little scabs, I think it's called scabs in English. I think that's how I remember it. So scabs, what scab is good, what scab isn't good, where it has to be
the lungs. When you look at
the lungs and the lungs are only one part of it. There's a whole bunch that we don't deal with anymore, but because it's a chazak, and you have to know why we don't deal with it, because of chazak and so on and so forth, precedent. And but like I said, I only know the words. I never looked inside. I never saw the animal. I did see no slaughtered. I never saw it. I never took the lung apart or the other pieces. I don't know what I'm looking at. I have no idea what I'm looking at. I know theoretically, but certainly if you would show me, I'd be like that mashgiach I hit up yesterday. I have no idea what I'm looking at. You could show me it's a treif animal, I would tell you it's kosher. How do I know? Because I don't know. I never saw it. Or it's like a person telling me where the veins are on a back and how to get them out, but he never cut a piece of meat. That guy will also say, you don't know what you're talking about. My father cut the meat, I know what he's talking about. He showed me. So I know practically what the stuff is. I'm not going to cut it, I'm not going to hold a knife, I'm not going to hurt myself to do it, but at least I know what I'm looking for in that situation. And my father told me, he would tell me, if you see this and this, then it's no good too. So I had some practical learning there, but again, it's been many, many years, so I'm not the one to go into these places. David Goldstein would be the one to ask, because he was a shochet.
Really?
Yeah, he loves to stop here. Yeah.